I'd like to welcome Sheila up for our next presentation. So we're going to hear from Sheila Hassell Hughes, a professor of English and Writing Studies, on the evolution of a collective intelligence and a productive partnership, St. Mary's College and Human Energy.
Hi, good morning. I am here this morning to share with you a little bit about a very productive and evolving partnership that St. Mary's College has with a nonprofit organization called Human Energy, in which I have become increasingly involved. Along with my colleague, Professor Rigsby, who can't be here this morning, she's out of town, but we are working together, and she did contribute to the slides, some of the slides in this presentation. So, first of all, what is human energy? How many of you have heard of human energy before? Wow, that's not bad for me. Right. So, Human Energy is a relatively new nonprofit organization that is dedicated to advancing human collective consciousness. And people usually look at you and go, okay. I'll say more about what this is and give you a little brief insight into those concepts along the way. But Human Energy conducts scientific research across the disciplines, engages in interdisciplinary and global collaborations, and produces multimedia, educational, and both traditional education and kind of online open access kinds of things to help people come to understand these ideas. So what I want to do is start by showing you a very brief video. It's 3 minutes, so maybe not very brief, depends on how old you are, whether you think 3 minutes is brief or not. A little bit of introduction to the organization.
Most organizations similar to us are dealing with solving environmental problems, social media, AI. There's no one who's asking the question, can we get humans to align? We humans are interconnected via our technology and culture. We're becoming part of a much larger thing. That's major.
We might be Americans, we might be Chinese, we might be Democrats. All of those are secondary. We're something far more profound than that. Human energy is igniting that awareness.
We're now in a place where we have the power to make major changes in the world, to understand to some extent how we work collectively, how we think collectively, is one of the great problems. If disinformation spreads, systems fall apart.
Today we have a major problem. Technology is moving forward so fast. If we don't figure out how to control it, human life is in danger. What happens to us globally, collectively, it's an existential crisis. Science doesn't address the meaning of life, values, etc.
Looking at the degree of conflict, the loss of any shared sense of truth, the speed at which our world is changing due to technology, we don't understand the world that we're operating in or what our future is. Without deliberate collaboration, we can't address those issues.
We have to be working with people and organizations at all scales to actually improve life from this scientific perspective. It has to be put into action.
We've got to keep pace with the technologies. To do that, we need to really do the research. We need to understand how this kind of evolutionary process works, the evolution of social change works.
This is not just a theoretical conceptual endeavor that could be in the academic realm. This has serious consequences for the state of the world.
Human Energy is developing a network of large organizations, universities, and individuals to study the future of human collective consciousness. Today, we have over 20 scientists and professionals working together to look at the impact of these new ideas through scientific papers, research, conferences, and educational programs. And we're drawing people from all over the world. We have a disruptive idea. We have to start thinking as a collective. There's collective knowledge. There's collective wisdom. The good of humanity requires us to come together. This is fundamental for our future.
So, oops, now I've lost my, what was I in?
Chrome.
Chrome, thank you. That was, I thought I had 20 minutes. So I have a timer. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna fight for every minute. So some of those, Terry Deacon, Brian Swim, myself, that was all filmed here on campus when we had a workshop here in 2022. So what is human collective consciousness? Human energy is inspired by the theory of the noosphere, first developed by the Jesuit paleontologist and philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin and the Russian geochemist Vladimir Vernadsky in 1923, so a little over 100 years ago. Nuos, sphere, mind, sphere, noosphere, the idea of another layer, essentially, that envelops our planet, to which we all contribute and on which we all draw. That knowledge doesn't exist in our individual minds. It is something to which we have shared access, and that it is shaping our lives and our planet. Human energy understands this development of the noosphere as a major evolutionary transition. With the onset of the internet and AI in particular, we are seeing a major change in what it means to be human and what life on this planet looks like. We are working to develop a third story of human meaning that is inspired by this and the sense of human purpose. So Brian Swim, who you saw in this film, explains the basic concept in the story of the noosphere on the YouTube series. I'm not going to show you that film. And there's a great 1-minute short from our Moroccan team, partner Moroccan, Marwan Jouat, that I'm going to show you. It's 1 minute, and it's about our upcoming conference in Morocco.
The noosphere is described as a planetary nervous system. It represents a shift in the evolution of life on Earth. It is a transition from a mere biological existence to an era where human thought and collective intelligence become a direct shaping force on the world. We have shaped the noosphere, this layer of thought that hovers over us through our tools, our artistry, and our creative imagination, and the noosphere is increasingly shaping us back. The upcoming N2 conference, which is a collaborative effort between the UM6P, University Mohammed VI Polytechnic, and Human Energy, is dedicated to exploring this transformative concept. Together, we bring you a gathering of great and creative minds to help understand how the noosphere can be a guiding force for humanity. So join us as we delve into discussions that bridge science, philosophy, and spirituality to map out the anatomy of this global mind.
So you may have seen my posts on the faculty and staff listserv about the conference. We did our initial conference at Berkeley last fall. Everything will be live streamed, so if you can't travel with me to Ben Gurion in December, you can watch some of it on the live stream or watch the recordings. I want to tell you a little bit about the history. So Human Energy really, in some ways, was spawned at St. Mary's. Ben Casira, our founder, amazing, dynamic, wonderful mentor, friend, leader who you saw in that video. He passed away just last month, sadly, after a tragic accident. Is the parent of 2 St. Mary's alums, lived in Orinda, loved St. Mary's, and wanted to connect here. So he reached out. He's come and talked to students. We've engaged multiple faculty, including Ed Tarwaniak and Dana Herrera and Ellen and myself. Ben served on the Dean's advisory board and then sucked me into serving on his advisory board. And I've gotten more and more involved over the years with Human Energy. One of Human Energy's tracks, so we have a science track, an ethics track, a dissemination track, which is really about our kind of public-facing media, and an education track. And the goal of our education track is to bring this third story, the idea that humans are evolving towards a more collective state of consciousness and intelligence, and that we are shaping that and therefore shaping the future of our planet. As a promising third story that isn't simply we were created with meaning but ignore science, or we are random products of an evolution that is meaningless. but something that accounts for both a sense of human-centeredness, human value, human purpose, and is solidly grounded in science. Bringing a third story of the noosphere to young people in ways that speak directly to their predicament with what we call the techno-social dilemma, the fact that technology, as you have been talking about this morning, is accelerating at a pace that our institutions, our practices, our values are not evolved yet to keep up with, in order to inspire and enable them to develop a new sense of connection, direction, meaning, and values, and to instill optimism about our shared future. And ultimately, we're an incredibly optimistic organization. So we've got connections to a number of courses at St. Mary's. One of those is the Stories of the Universe course that I taught last January, and enrollment settling, hopefully we'll be teaching again this semester, this January. It introduces the concept of the technosocial dilemma, and then we look at first story, origin stories, we look at the second story of evolutionary science, and then we look at ways that the noosphere can help us navigate kind of the third way between those narratives. Student feedback on that course blew my mind. Students almost unanimously loved the course and said that it gave them a new insight on who they are in this global context, in this cosmic context, and inspired hope and optimism. So I'll share a little bit about that. I gave a presentation about that course and its outcomes at the International Humanistic Management Association meeting at Fordham University last spring, and through that connected with PEA University in Pueblo, Mexico. They are translating some of our business-oriented videos for their curriculum. I was interviewed for an Interdevelopment Goals podcast. Donna Hicks, if you follow her at all, a thought leader on issues of dignity and a former political conflict resolution expert, came up to me afterwards and said, yes, I love this, I'm on your team. I was like, Donna Hicks, wow, that's really cool. We formed a youth advisory board of college graduates, recent graduates and students. It includes 3 St. Mary's students, one of whom will be joining me on the trip to Ben Marir for the conference. And they are energized and excited about this. So the conference I'm helping to plan with our partners at University of Mohammed VI Polytechnic in Morocco. So student feedback. I'll put this up here. Just the themes of optimism, agency, feeling connected and having a sense of purpose are pretty profound. I had one student, the student who's coming with me to Morocco, say, I came here as a student athlete. When I could no longer compete, I was struggling to figure out what my purpose is. I now understand my purpose is to be a curious human being. And that the research I want to do is a part of advancing collective intelligence, and that's incredibly inspiring. Another student who said, a year ago, I was hospitalized for trying to end my life. Now I have a sense that I'm part of a much larger purpose and meaning, and it gives me hope for the future. I mean, you don't expect for that in your student feedback, but when you get it, it's incredibly rewarding. This semester I'm teaching a class that is not in any way sponsored by Human Energy, which some of our other work is, but we are exploring our relationship to technology, in writing in a digital age. And Parham, one of my colleagues at Human Energy, is coming on Monday to talk to my students about AI as an organic evolutionary process fueled by humanity. And we have a few extra seats in the room if any of you are interested in sitting in to hear Parham's talk. I heard a longer, more complex version of it at a workshop in the city a couple weeks ago, and it was exciting. It gives me hope. I too have all the anxieties you have about what AI means for our teaching and our future. And I'm incredibly excited about the possibilities and the ways that it requires us to reimagine what the human role is in our ongoing future. Ellen is teaching a class this fall at Rigsby on the rhetoric of science. And I just lost my timer. That's not good. Oh, 14 minutes and 35 seconds. I'm doing okay. Okay. So Ellen is teaching a course on the third story narratives of science, and we are collecting data about students' experience and their perceptions of life, of optimism, of their place in the universe, and for sort of a mini longitudinal study. We're partnering with an organization called Pro-Social World. You saw David Sloan Wilson. He's an evolutionary biologist, quite well renowned, and he leads that organization, and they're partnering with us to do this social scientific research on worldview change, how that happens across the scope of a course among young people. So this is that project. David taught an online masterclass using a series of interviews on the science of the noosphere, 24 interviews that he conducted with scientists and other scholars across the disciplines. That was the foundation for that curriculum. 150 people participated in the masterclass, and they did a research study and collected the data from that. And so St. Mary's data will be a part of that larger pool, and we get to continue to collaborate with them. So Human Energy has been growing its global partners since it sort of began as a project in 2018 of the Kasira Family Foundation. In 2021, it spun off as its own nonprofit organization. And so I'm incredibly proud that St. Mary's School of Liberal Arts has been, from the beginning, a partner of Human Energy. You can see we are among very good company here. So, I don't expect that you have a firm grasp of what I mean at this point by human collective consciousness or the noosphere or the evolution of collective intelligence. But if any of this intrigues you, I would love to have some conversation. You can talk to me, you can talk to Ellen. We have abundant video content on our website. It's humanenergy.io. So you have to look for that particular URL, or check out Human Energy's YouTube channel. It's very well organized, and there's a ton of content, both very accessible and more scientifically oriented. Come to the conference in Morocco. Or watch the live stream. We also have edited video content and the full live stream from the Berkeley conference last year, which had amazing speakers. So you can check out the website there. Follow us on social media. We have a Discord channel as a way to try to connect people who are interested in research collaborations or other kinds of conversations. And sign up for a newsletter. Talk to our students, Kellen Steplight, Christina Bragg, and Kate. What's Kate's last name? Conti. Thank you. Is that a total blank? Kate Conti. They are all St. Mary's members of the Youth Advisory Board. Talk to me about sitting in on my gender class one day. That's a possibility. And if you're really interested, let's talk about how you could engage with this in your teaching or your research or your professional work in some way or another. I will say that this work, this organization, these people, these ideas have changed my life. I was a very slow adopter. Ben's always saying, we're going to get across the chasm from the early adopters to the, and I'm like, I don't think I'm an early adopter. I'm kind of skeptical. But I was intrigued enough to continue in the conversation. And the more I read and the more opportunity I had to engage with leading scientific scholars, philosophers, theologians from around the globe, and learn from their expertise and confirm that with my own experience in reading, the more sunk I have become. And this is where I think we're going. And I'm excited to be going there intentionally and optimistically. So, thank you. Do I have a minute for questions? I have 40.
We have time for questions.
8 seconds for questions.
We have time. Yeah. Do you have questions for Sheila?
You'll just
Oh, okay, great.
You mentioned you have a guest speaker in your writing class coming soon. Can you tell us when that is again?
Yeah, it is Monday, and he's going to be there at 11. My class is from 10:40 to 11:55, and he's coming at like 11:05 for the last 45 or 50 minutes. So email me, and I'll give you the room number, because I want to know how many people are coming, so I make sure I have seats for everybody. It's a very interesting presentation looking at AI and its relationship to biological life and intelligence, how the two are distinctly different and how they are related, in, I think, very accessible and interesting terms. So.
Yes, I'm curious about where the Human Energy headquarters are.
Oh, headquarters. We are a fully noospheric organization. So in the noosphere, we don't have physical offices. We have team members in Berkeley and San Francisco and Martinez. Ben lived in Orinda. We have team members in Oklahoma and New York and Florida and Belgium and France and Morocco. And so every Thursday, I missed this morning, but every Thursday morning at 9:30, I Zoom with people in Belgium and France and Morocco to plan the N2 conference. And it's evening for them and morning for me, and the cultural and linguistic and institutional differences are all kinds of fun to navigate. For example, they all just like drop out for the entire month of August, but think you should know that without telling you. So you show up to your first meeting in August and nobody's there. Where did they go? Yeah. Or what does final mean? What does absolute mean? Oh, we changed the conference location. Great, awesome. It's final. Great. But, oh, it's not final. We're changing back again. Okay. It's all good. I'm learning a lot. One more question here.
I'm about to be that person. It's not a question, it's more a comment. But this goes along really with what was being said earlier in the panel about student life, really focusing on wellness and belonging, and talking about AI where an assignment is now digitized, so students aren't needed to do that work anymore. And I think a lot of our students are really feeling that. Yeah. Growing up as a blue-collar kid, the answer to how does your job not get eliminated, well, go to college. And now that's gone because coders are being replaced by AI. So I think it's a good conversation to have. And even a lot of us staff members who deal with students on more of a transactional basis, get back to that. What is your belonging? Who are you going to be? What's your story? And it's nice that there's, even with all the AI and all the technology, there is still people trying to get back to what makes us human. What can we do and how can we be? So thank you for.
Yeah, thank you. I want to kind of say three things, if I can remember all three of them. One is this organization, I mean, Ben would have told you that he first encountered Teilhard through a Jesuit professor at the university he attended in Mosul, Iraq, where he was born, when he went as a scientist and said, I don't think I believe this creation story anymore. What do I do? And he said, have you read Teilhard de Chardin? So he was inspired then, but he was inspired to found this organization because of his grandkids who were teenagers. And he came to me and he said, they need a sense of their place in the cosmos and big history and as humans that addresses the crisis of meaning and technological advancement that we're all experiencing. So very much inspired by a desire to meet youth where they're at and bring a sense of optimism and hope for the future. And the third thing I wanted to say was that, absolutely we're talking about what AI means on the ground. How are we going to teach? How are we going to address this? What does this mean for our work? And Human Energy invites us to kind of step back and take a long view and a tall view of what the evolution of human intelligence that is a collective thing looks like. So it's philosophical, it's scientific, it's sometimes mind-blowing, and I often feel like I barely have my fingernails, in it. But I think it's very exciting. So, thanks.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Sheila. All right, I would like to invite David Cree, our Chair of Staff Council, up. He has a few words to say. And then also when we get to the lunch part, that's another time when we can do some more sticky notes. And then our next presentation will be at 12:40 for another panel about enhancing student learning and experiences. Take it away, David.
Hey everybody, I recognize the very real danger of standing between you and food this particular hour, so I'll be brief. Again, I'm David Cree. I am the chair of Staff Council for this year, and I just want to let you know that we've sponsored lunch for you today because we believe in investing in our staff. I want to thank Ophelia who's putting the finishing touches on the buffet over there. And Ophelia's doing double duty this year as our treasurer and also helping with planning staff activities. So she's been great for that, and wonderful to have a person like that to take care of those arrangements and make things move so smoothly and under budget too. Is Mark still here? Didn't know that. Anyway, I also want to, if anyone from the panel is here this morning, please come talk to me because I'd love to have one of you speak at a future open forum for Staff Council. Speaking of which, our next open forum is going to be held first week of open enrollment. That's coming up, I believe, in early November. All the dates are still being finalized right now, but stay tuned for that. I think that's going to be an important one for all staff to attend. And finally, if you're wondering about Staff Council, I'm here to say come join us if you're interested. Staff Council is typically made out of one member from every department here on campus. So if you don't know who your Staff Council member is in your department, chances are your department doesn't have a Staff Council member, and that could be you. So come talk to me. The more people we have, the easier things are to plan and put on. And we look forward to having a good, robust, and developing year here with Staff Council. So that's really it from me. I also just want to give one additional shout out to the Vice Chair, Elizabeth, too, who's been very helpful in keeping balance. I just think next year she'll be in this, at this podium and I'll be in the Hall of Elders like Samuel Brooks. Anyway, thank you so much for coming out today, and I will turn you loose to go eat. Thank you. I forget it's too heavy.